On April 25, 1854, a shy and melancholic bride married into a major European royal house. Trembling and overcome with emotion, 16-year-old Elizabeth, known by her childhood nickname Sisi, was wed to the 23-year-old Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria, the absolute monarch of the largest empire in Europe outside of Russia. During the wedding festivities, thousands lined Vienna's streets, eager to catch a glimpse of the new teenage empress. But in her glass coach on the way to her new home in the sprawling Hofburg Imperial Palace, Sisi sobbed, overwhelmed and afraid. This unusual entrance into public life was one in a string of tragedies that marked Sisi's reign, placing her within a long line of reluctant royal consorts trapped in gilded cages. Isolated in the palace, she suffered through mental illness, mourned her beloved son's suicide, and set off to wander the globe in search of peace, all before her assassination at the hand of an Italian anarchist. Born in 1837 in Munich, Germany, Sisi grew up playing in the Bavarian forest with her 7 brothers and sisters, riding horses and climbing mountains. From her eccentric father, Duke Maximilian Joseph, she inherited a belief in progressive democratic ideals and pacifism, uncommon for royalty at the time. From her hands-on mother, Princess Ludovica, she developed a love of privacy and a fear of public duties, traits that would not serve her well as Empress. Sisi's husband, Franz Joseph, was hardworking and loved her, but had little imagination or humor. The new couple's mothers, who were also sisters, had intended for the handsome 23-year-old emperor to marry Sisi's sophisticated older sister, but Franz Joseph had been captivated by the slight Sisi from the moment he saw her. Sisi, on the other hand, was so nervous during the courtship that she was unable to eat. The situation did not improve as she settled into her new reality. Shy and unsure, Sisi crumbled under the strict court etiquette, which left her isolated and friendless. She bore Franz Joseph 3 children during the first 4 years of their marriage, but only 2. Crown Prince Rudolf and Archduchess Gisela survived past infancy. Her melancholy and distaste for public life was treated as a childish indulgence by her distracted husband and his mother, the formidable Archduchess Sophie. "You cannot imagine how charming Sisi is when she cries," Archduchess Sophie wrote, as recounted by Viennese historian Brigitte Hamann in The Reluctant Empress. Yet despite her somber demeanor, Sisi captivated the public, thanks to her stunning beauty and ankle-length chestnut hair. "It is the Empress who attracts them all," Sophie wrote, "for she is their joy, their idol." Sisi, however, dismissed all this attention. "They're curious," her lady-in-waiting Marie Festetics wrote of Sisi's response to the fawning masses. "Whenever there's something to see, they come running, for the monkey dancing at the hurdy-gurdy just as much for me." Though outwardly cynical, Sisi was as fixated with her beauty as the public was. Hours were spent maintaining her looks, 3 hours a day of hairdressing, and an hour to cinch her famed 19.5-inch waist. Obsessed with her figure, Sisi lived on a strict diet and fanatical exercise routine that would likely be interpreted as symptoms of anorexia today. She survived for a time on only thin broth, while in later years she subsisted almost exclusively on raw milk, traveling with her own cow, oranges and eggs. She also exercised for hours every day. Horseback riding, fencing, fast-paced hikes, and exercises adapted from the circus, unusual for the time, consumed her days. In every royal palace, Sisi had an exercise room where she lifted dumbbells and trained on rings. Early in her reign, Sisi developed a deep interest in Hungary, then a rebellious part of her husband's empire. She believed the Hungarian people deserved greater freedoms and respect, and collaborated with her close friend, the dashing Hungarian statesman Gyula Andrassy, to advance the Hungarian cause. She further alienated the Viennese aristocracy by filling her personal staff with Hungarian nationals. In 1867, Hungary became an equal partner in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Franz Joseph was crowned King of Hungary, and Sisi became queen. Hungarians were given new freedoms, and Franz Joseph was allowed back into the royal bed. The couple's last child, Marie Valerie, was born in Budapest in 1868. For her part in the Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867, Sisi was beloved by the Hungarian people. Sisi reveled in her role as comforter of the empire's common people, and often arrived at hospitals and charity wards unannounced, with only a lady-in-waiting in tow. Here she displayed surprisingly down-to-earth behavior for a royal, holding hands with the dying and speaking to patients about their needs. Truly like an angel of mercy she went from bed to bed, lady-in-waiting Marie Festetics wrote of one such visit, as recorded in The Reluctant Empress. I saw the tears trickling down the faces of the men. By the 1880s, it was clear Sisi was suffering from a serious mental illness herself. Marie Valerie, the one child on whom Sisi doted, wrote of finding her mother laughing hysterically in a bathtub. The Empress frequently spoke of suicide to a terrified Franz Joseph and turned to mediums and psychics to help cure her mental anguish. In 1889, her beloved son, Crown Prince Rudolf, was found dead with his 17-year-old mistress, Mary Wetzera, at the Mayerling hunting lodge, sending Sisi into a steep decline. Though both Rudolf and Wetzera left behind notes, the circumstances surrounding their deaths remained a mystery. Rumors of a double murder persisted. It was initially thought Wetzera poisoned Rudolf before killing herself, though it was later determined that Rudolf shot both of them in a murder-suicide pact, a conclusion that only deepened Sisi's sadness. And so, Sisi wandered. With her weight plummeting and dressed in mourning black, she traveled aimlessly across the continent and North Africa, refusing police protection, longing for death, determined to travel the whole world over, until I drown and am forgotten. At the age of 51, she got a tattoo of an anchor on her arm. The end came on September 10th, 1898, when the Empress was visiting Geneva under an assumed name. Also in town was Italian anarchist Luigi Lucchini, who had come to Switzerland to assassinate Prince Henri of Orléans in an act of protest against the ruling class. Over 3 decades beginning in 1880, anarchists killed a Russian czar, 2 Spanish premiers, a French president, and an Italian king. A classic case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Empress Elisabeth resided in the Hotel Beau Rivage, on the shores of Lake Geneva. She traveled incognito under the pseudonym Countess of Hohenems, but a newspaper revealed her true identity and published this. As news of the Empress's arrival leaked, Lucchini found out the prince had cancelled his trip. Luigi reads the newspaper and changes his plans, waiting for the right moment to attack. It is not the person that mattered to him, just the act of killing a member of the aristocracy is what's important. At 1:35 p.m. on that day, the Empress and Countess Stare, her lady-in-waiting, leave the hotel. All the other staff in service of Elisabeth has already left Geneva by train, and stubborn as she is, Elisabeth refused to take bodyguards with her. Luigi has been waiting for an opportunity like this. He approached the ladies when they walk by and acts as if he stumbles and falls against Elisabeth, stabbing her with a sharpened needle file. Elisabeth falls down, but is helped up again by a coach driver, and she and the Countess continue to walk to the gangway and board the ship. Elisabeth even talks to the Countess, saying that Luigia perhaps tried to steal her watch. She nor any of the bystanders realize that she is stabbed. Luigi did not miss. His file punctured the body of the Empress for 8.5 centimeters, broke the 4th rib, pierced the lung, and penetrated the heart fully. The fact that Elisabeth could get up and walk on is first of all due to the good shape Elisabeth is in. This resulted in a very good physical condition for a woman of her age at the end of the 19th century. The other thing that made her keep her on her feet for so long was the tight corset she wore. Because of the compression of her belly and pelvis, there must have been relatively more blood in the upper part of her body than there usually is. Empress Elisabeth faints for the first time when on board of the ship. She comes to again, probably because the new blood flow that reaches her brain because of her horizontal position as she is now laying down. She asks the Countess what has happened, still no clue of her situation. Only after opening of the corset by the Countess, causing the blood reserve to spread over the rest of the body, the Empress faints for the second and last time. Countess Starai then sees the small blood stain on Cece's breast and raises the alarm. The captain of the boat, Captain Roux, is made aware of the identity of the fainted lady and immediately turns the boat around towards the landing stage in front of the Hotel Beau Rivage. A stretcher is improvised from sails and pedals, and 6 boatmen carry the Empress back to her hotel room to check if the Empress is still alive. Dr. Mayer makes a small incision in Sissy's arm, but there is no blood flow, and the Empress is pronounced dead at 2:20 p.m. The priest that arrived together with the doctors is too late to grant her absolution. Her heart had been irreparably pierced long before her murder, however. "I loved. I lived. I wandered through the world," she wrote, "but never reached what I strove for.